Welcome to Insights. I'm Eric. I want to do another follow-up on Bitcoin. Bitcoin's an excellent teaching market, so we'll keep going to the well as it moves through the evolution of the trade. It triggers the discussions that we want, and it does it relatively quickly. And there's a lot of interest in the market itself. So if you're a subscriber, you can pull up your version of the matrix. You can look at it in further detail. I'm going to suggest some things that are not that I'm not going to show that you can look at. But if you're pretty fluent with the evolution of the trade, this stuff is going to be a repeat. Bitcoin is located on this line. There's other assets above and below this. The primary trend is up for 8 months and produced over a 300% return. And the evolution of the trade is most interested in following the primary trend. It's discussed here. The Bitcoin was looking good back in the summer of 2020. We had talked about it. Anyone who was around watching the matrix at that point and listening to me saying that this is one of the best plays within the matrix. It flipped. It's producing an excellent return. The price cycles, we're going to stay with this flip as long as the price cycles and time cycles don't get extended. They're both below zero, so that's a good thing. That means there's more play left in this, and time is the key component here. Time is the driver. Ultimately, the evolution of the trade stays with Bitcoin as long as these cycles don't get extended or it stays up. If it flips down, the long position or the core position is closed out. This goes for Bitcoin as much as it goes for gold, as much as it goes for cocoa, as much as it goes for the semiconductor stocks. This is a trading discipline that's universal, and it's what the matrix provides us the information to follow the trading discipline. You can look in the blog. There's some links underneath the video in terms of what the evolution of the trade and how it really works. I would read up on it, watch any videos that are related to it, or read the commentary or the education that's a part of describing it in full detail. I think if you watch enough of these videos, you're going to get how everything works. I mean, that's what the point of this. This is education. So the daily trend has been up for 10 days. It was a reset plus whatever, reset 10 days ago. So you would see R plus 10. But the computer doesn't like this. We've already reached the mean target of the price move. Time is still below zero, but because of this, it takes it off the list. There's no more R plus 10 anymore because of this fact right here. If this was still below zero, the computer would show R plus 10. The weekly looks pretty good. Everything's below zero, which means there's more room to run. Bitcoin has a lot of room to run. Now, why is it a constant focus of discussion? The social media universe loves talking about it, and it's for a good reason. It's doing quite well. Here, Gunlatch is a long-term dollar bear and gold bull, appears to be throwing in the towel this morning, and this relates to some of the gold reviews that I've done and gold shares reviews. And I talked about gold was going to reach a point of capitulation, and this is not helping. I mean, the gold bulls and bears are going to give up, and we had talked about that. And don't lose heart because the gold is not over. Gold is just not ready in terms of energy and the cycle setup, and this is a part of the capitulation process. I would say don't pay attention to the internet because it gives you a lot of bad information. I'm not sure where he stands exactly, but this saying it gold looks like it's not going to be part of the stimulus checks that's not going to help. I mean, but if you're a gold investor, this is misdirection, really. Has nothing to do with what the invisible hand thinks and is doing with gold. Gold is setting up because of its energy build, and you can watch some of the gold videos for a better description of that. So ultimately, the energy build for Bitcoin is what we're interested in here. It's what's going to push around the daily and weekly trend. It's either going to support or inhibit the primary trend. And this energy build is still relatively bullish, and we're going to take a quick look here and we can see it's now down here, but we're going to get a new reading on this Friday, and that's going to be important. Does it push higher? Does it plummet lower as the price is rallying? Normal trading action, normal distribution into the rally is going to see DI and DI2 fall lower. But this is a process that's going to take multiple weeks and months, perhaps. I mean, it really depends on what the invisible hand is thinking, and you just have to react to it. But ultimately, it should take a while for these two numbers to head towards the lower threshold. The lower threshold's down here. We oscillate from an upper to a lower threshold. We build up energy in a potential stage, we release it in a kinetic stage, and then we build it back up in another potential phase, of which that influences price. One move influences the price up, the other moves it down, which is described by these red and green arrows. Green arrow up, red arrow down, green arrow up. It's kind of how it works. I mean, that's accumulation and distribution. You can read more about the accumulation and distribution cycle inside the Matrix blog. Go down, find the link into the blog, and dig around for it. I think it's in the Q&A section of the banner menu. It's something to watch. Now, when in terms of like Bitcoin in itself as the trend, everything's looking good, but I want you guys to keep an eye on the Pro Index, which is right here. I'm not gonna, you can click, subscribers can click on that. It's gonna look similar to this. The disturbing trend that I'm seeing is the lack of professional participation in the rally higher. That's got to improve at some point, and if it doesn't improve, it's going to mean this rally, which is being pushed up by energy, it's going to make the rally vulnerable. There are points when the Pro Index no longer confirms the rally, and it stopped confirming it here, and price skyrocketed. But when you're up here, recognizing that the pros are pretty selling hard relative to the public, you're fully aware that this move to the new high is completely vulnerable. If we get to this stage and we don't, the high doesn't have to break the previous high. The high has to break the relative. It's a relative trend. If this high doesn't break this high right here, Bitcoin's going to be vulnerable up here. And I think it's going to stay, that this divergence is going to stay this way, and it's going to make this rally vulnerable. And to the extent when you have a negative divergence and a bearish energy build, and you are telling everyone that I'm bullish and everything looks good, well, you're not helping out, because pain is going to be the teacher, and it's going to slaughter a lot of your followers and a lot of people thinking, well, why is Bitcoin falling down an elevator shaft? So that's the setup for Bitcoin today. I like to keep it open because I think it's teaching us how to use the matrix in itself. If anything valuable comes up, I'm going to restrict this content so that the subscribers have a first look at it, because otherwise, there's no preferential treatment for them. And I know that the community out here in general, at least the subscriber community, is not really that interested in Bitcoin. I beg them to view it differently, but it's just not how it is. I hope they don't get interested as price rallies here, but I think they're familiar with the evolution of the trade enough to recognize that maybe the next cycle is something that they'll get interested in. The problem with Bitcoin is that there's only going to be so many parabolic moves to the upside before the ultimate top is going to be reached. There's a way to study that down in the long-term cycles here, and I'm going to work on the computer, or tell the computer to come up with, as best as it can, a long-term cyclical play. The problem with Bitcoin is history. It just doesn't have the history for the computer to establish the long-term cycles. And I'm not talking about month-to-month, year-to-year cycles. I'm talking decades and hundreds of years. Bitcoin just doesn't have it in order for the computer to understand whether or not the third parabolic move is going to be the high or not. But I'm going to have the computer take a look at it from the best that it can, and we're going to see what it has. If useful information, I will include it down in the lower section of the matrix. So if you have any other questions about the evolution of the trade or Bitcoin, and if you're subscribing, watching this and learning, if you want to apply it to other markets, contact me directly through the blog, or you can follow the links down below the video, and you can do it that way, or you can write some comments below the video. I see people are starting to do that. That's fine too. As long as they're not too specific, we can always direct a private conversation or another conversation. So thanks for watching the video, and enjoy another Bitcoin day.